Tonight on 3 News, the multi-million-dollar government-paid message goes out: save power or else.
Which means we could be in for power cuts.
And cold showers.
A murder mystery near an idyllic beach north of Auckland. Police want to know who the victim is. Here come the clowns out to protect their identity. They say they're funny, not scary. The small town of Wanganui strikes it big with a $9.8 million lotto win. And the Highlanders' chance of making the Super 12 semis hangs in the balance after losing to the Waratahs.
This is 3 News with Hilary Barry and Sean Summerfield.
Kia ora, good evening. A massive campaign is underway to get New Zealanders to save power. Kiwis have already been urged to cut power consumption by 10%, but latest figures show power usage has only dropped 3.5%. And it gets worse. NIWA's 3-month forecast released today says there won't be any major rainfall over the winter.
The lakes that feed our hydropower stations are really low.
Save power or else go cold is the upshot of the several million-dollar ad campaign that aims to change New Zealanders' apathetic attitude to power savings.
Every 1% in savings we can get is worth its weight in gold, really, because the impact of any more severe long hot water cuts or blackouts is huge.
Savings are currently sitting at 3.6%, well below the desired 10%, and lake levels are still desperately low despite heavy rain last week. The National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research's 3-monthly forecast released today shows there's no extra rainfall on the horizon.
We're looking at normal rainfall and stream flows into the hydro lakes, and the chances of above average rainfall is rather low.
High hopes of a southerly front that passed through overnight has only seen a light drizzle fall in the lake catchment area. A plan to allow some lake levels to drain 5 metres lower than their current minimum has outraged environmentalists. But Meridian Energy, who control the Southern Lakes outflow, say it's one option they'll look at further down the track.
It doesn't give us access to a great deal more power, and there are limits to how far down you can take the lake.
Sources within the electricity industry say not being able to tap into the thermal reserves like the Maui gas field have turned this crisis into a catastrophe. At least 2 companies are looking into other options, including coal-fired generation on the west coast and a new canal development in Marlborough. But neither of these options is going to help prevent any potential power cuts this winter. Sonia de Vries, 3 News.
Police are still trying to determine the identity of a woman who was found dead near a popular beach north of Auckland. She was found in bushes at Army Bay on the Whangaparoa Peninsula, and her death is now being treated as a homicide. Forensic teams are continuing to search the area for clues to her murder.
An idyllic coastal setting shattered by a mysterious murder. This quiet North Auckland Bay has become the scene of a major police investigation after a woman's body was found hidden in these bushes. Today, forensic teams combed the area, trying to piece together the events leading up to her discovery.
There are a number of seats of activity and also the location and position of the body. We believe somebody else has been involved in her death.
Police have now issued a description of the woman. She is Polynesian, aged in her 30s or 40s. She was found wearing a maroon jersey and black trousers. The body was discovered early Saturday morning by a man walking his dog. Police believe it had been there overnight. Clues to the murder are spread throughout the area. A pair of women's shoes lies in a car park more than 100 metres from where the body was found. Police are urging any witnesses to come forward and anyone who may be able to help them identify the victim.
We've been sending out bulletins to other police stations. At this stage, we don't have any missing people on our books. So if you do have any relatives that fit that description, please come forward and let us know, and we'll make some inquiries for you.
Today, the road through Army Bay remains closed. Disappointed day trippers turned away in their dozens. Police say the roadblocks will stay in place while the scene examination continues. Belinda Henley, 3 News.
In Balclutha, detectives are still trying to piece together what happened to a man found with severe head injuries near his home yesterday morning. 47-year-old John Gunn Harper later died in hospital. A team of 20 police is working on the case. A reported air crash in the Bay of Plenty is continuing to confuse local police and the Coast Guard. Search and rescue and numerous other recreational boats raced to the scene after 3 people reported they'd seen a light plane go down in waters between Pukehina Beach and Motiti Island. Helicopters were also called in, but there were no signs of any wreckage. The search continued for most of the day before being stepped down late this afternoon. There are no reports of any overdue aircraft, but police say they will continue their investigation. Hastings police are investigating a vicious attack that's left a 34-year-old man in Hawke's Bay Hospital. He suffered serious head injuries after local mongrel mob members stormed a family gathering at a Flaxmere home yesterday.
The suburb of Flaxmere looked like a police state yesterday afternoon. Armed defenders joined local police and dog handlers after they were alerted to a major incident involving local mongrel mob and Black Power members from Rotorua. Witnesses, including children, spoke of seeing weapons and vehicles being attacked on the street.
Smashing at the window, and then I saw two guys running up the road with a machete and one with a baseball bat.
What started out as a whānau unveiling at a local marae turned into a nightmare for these grievers after they returned to this Flaxmere Avenue home. Police reported that 3 to 4 vehicles loaded with 10 to 15 mongrel mob members turned up and stormed the backyard.
We are currently identifying who was involved, and we'll go along that line of inquiry once that's completed.
The 34-year-old Black Power man from Rotorua suffered serious head wounds. There were no other reported injuries, but police are cautious about the possibility of retaliation.
Now, at this stage, we think it's a one-off incident. The out-of-town gang members have all returned home, so we'll just watch the situation and don't envisage anything else occurring.
Police will continue to investigate mongrel mob members located in a number of gang pads throughout Flaxmere. Carmen Parahi, 3 News.
The leader of the opposition is calling for an end to the 7 Māori electorates. Bill English says Māori already have good representation in Parliament without needing extra seats. English told a National Party conference in Masterton today he'll seek a mandate from Nationals caucus later this year as part of a wider citizenship policy. Overseas now, and the Australian Prime Minister has met with George Bush at his Texas ranch, the heads of state praising each other over the war in Iraq. At a press conference, John Howard said the US President showed true leadership during a time when he was heavily criticised about the invasion. Mr. Bush returned the compliment and said he had no doubt weapons of mass destruction would eventually be found in Iraq. New pictures have come to light of Saddam Hussein, which are claimed to show him recording a speech on the day of the fall of Baghdad. If so, and it's the real Saddam, it would prove he did survive the American missile strikes.
Clearing his throat, he says to those in the room, the sooner we finish this, the better, before he delivers what's claimed to be his final address to the Iraqi people. If this is Saddam Hussein, not a double, this is the first time the former leader has been seen confused and war-weary. On times, his speech is slurred. The videotape handed to the news agency APTN is said to have been recorded on the 9th of April. It was the day his regime fell and his statue was toppled in front of jubilant crowds. Although it's impossible to verify the date of the recording, Saddam Hussein's biographer has examined the tape and believes it's genuine.
Clearly, he's rattled. This is Saddam Hussein is rattled, who looks defeated. You would never see that before the war, so that's why I think this was shot during the war and that it is Saddam Hussein.
His usual defiant tones of victory are gone. He appears defeated, saying it will take time to free the homeland. While reading, he loses his place halfway through and has to repeat his sentence. The dictator sounds uncertain as he finishes his speech. How is my reading, he asks, and then he adds, it's okay. Once again, a video purporting to be of Saddam Hussein has thrown up more questions than answers. Is it really him? Does it prove he survived the bombings? Certainly, it fails to answer the most critical question of all. Dead or alive, where is he now?
The war in Iraq may be over, but its people are still suffering from the effects of the conflict and the years of sanctions that went before it. Some of the hardest hit have been the children. At one hospital in Basra, up to 10 die each day. Doctors say they should be able to save some of them, but a shortage of equipment means all they can do is ease the suffering. A warning that some of the pictures in this report are disturbing.
Abandoned, unwanted on the doorstep of the International Red Cross, no one knows the history of the boy they've called Mohammed. The nurse says he has cerebral palsy, sleeping by day, crying for much of the night. Yet after rehydration, he's taking solids and will be transferred to an orphanage in another town. Yet the doctor told me many others are dying needlessly.
Per day, daily between 5 to 10, they are died usually.
Crying piteously as the nurse struggles to find a vein, Mohammed Idris is 18 months old. Cancer of the face means he won't see his second birthday. This little girl was born 8 weeks premature. She's been given no name, as doctors have told her parents she won't live. All the intensive care cots in this room are broken. 13 years of international sanctions have turned this facility into a dying room. The senior doctor told me all these babies are brought here simply to give them a peaceful death. The heartbreaking reality is that every single one of these babies has some condition, congenital abnormality or serious illness, which makes it almost certain that they will die. However, the doctors here say that if conditions were normal, if they had the drugs and the machinery, there's a good chance that at least some of them would survive. Babies from rural areas like this little girl are suffering from malnutrition. Dozens of others have been admitted with vomiting and diarrhea from drinking infected water. Help is on the way. Tons of medical supplies have now arrived from Britain. However, inevitably, for some of them, they didn't get here soon enough.
Clowns and magicians have been at loggerheads over a telephone hotline advertised in the Yellow Pages. A Wellington clown complained against a magician's hotline message that warned parents clowns might be scary. The Advertising Standards Authority has upheld the clown's complaint.
Bunnies, balloons and big, big smiles. The children's entertainment industry is big business, and competition between acts seems to be heating up in Wellington. A consumer information hotline advertised in the Yellow Pages last year has now been disconnected following a complaint from a clown. One of the 7 points on the recorded message was to be careful with clowns. Your children may find them scary. But the ad wasn't listed by an independent body. Instead, it was from a competitor, a local magician.
I thought that that ad had effect on my employment and my way to be self-employed, so I had to do something about it, eh?
And he did, all the way to the Advertising Standards Authority. The ASA ruled the ad in the Yellow Pages misused the socially responsible wording, consumer information, implying the information was unbiased.
It was an advertisement to generate consumer awareness about traders in the industry that might not be up to scratch, and also at the same time to let people know, hey, I'm out there and I'm a professional and I can offer you different services.
The Advertising Standards Authority did not make a decision regarding Kennedy's representation of clowns as scary after he agreed to remove the offending comments from the phone message. But Kennedy says he wasn't clowning around and stands by the advertisement.
I still believe it's a fact. Some children are scared of clowns.
And rabbits. And even magicians may be, he accepts. But add to that...
Santa Claus, Michael Jackson.
And it seems just about anything that doesn't look normal can give kids the frighteners. So I asked them directly whether clowns are scary.
I think they're funny.
And even big business has recognised the value of the friendly smile.
Magicians are great, clowns are great. There's not enough of us going around birthday parties, entertaining, bringing laughter into people's lives.
And this little man thinks clowns are just great. Miriam Nahond, 3 News.
In the news ahead, one of the world's most famous faces disappears forever, and the lengths charities will go to win you and your dollar over.
Well, if you thought winter had arrived in the South Island today, you probably weren't far off. Compliments of a bitter numbing front edging its way up the South Island there. We can see that frigid air behind the front. Now that's indicative of active shower cloud, which is biting the south from below there. Conditions are much more benign over the North Island though, but don't hold your breath. We are next on its list. But firstly, let's check out the mercury as it stood today, which was fairly toasty in some parts of the north, especially in Napier and Hastings, where glorious fine skies created the highest temperature of 21 degrees. Meanwhile, it was a chilly old time in the south, and by chilly I mean 8 degrees in Manapuri, which was the low. It was also rumoured to be a 6-degree lunch at Stewart Island today. Bring on the thermals, I say. Things will take a slightly warmer turn tomorrow though. To see how much warmer, catch me after sport.